India. Today, all the eyes are on our country, India, as it's one of the fastest growing major economies in the world. But how did we get here? Was our economic engine always so fast? Or did we just catch up the race with passing time? The Indian economy witnessed two major political shifts in the recent 2 decades. The United Progressive Alliance, or the UPA government, was in power from 2004 to 2014, and the NDA government, that is, the National Democratic Alliance, was in power since 2014. Both the governments implemented various policies and reforms to improve the country's economic situation. Let us try understanding India's economic transformation in the recent 2 decades by decoding the numbers, narratives, and unveil the real story. Let us start with the big one, growth. Under the UPA government, India's growth averaged around 6.8%, with record highs of about 9% between 2006 and 2008. That was a golden phase, man. I mean, massive expansions in IT, telecom, infrastructure, and services. But it didn't last forever. After 2011, there was global turbulence, high oil prices, and domestic policy paralysis slowed the engine. Now look at the NDA decade. The growth figures were comparatively low, but remember, this period faced massive shocks, including the Demonetization in 2016, the GST rollout in 2017, and of course, the global COVID-19 pandemic in the years 2019-20. Yet, India bounced back. 6.5% GDP growth in the financial year 2024 to 25 and a strong 8.2 in the last quarter, proving the resilience of this economy. So yes, the UPA government gave India its momentum and the NDA gave it muscle. Now let's talk about what really hits people. Prices. During the UPA's final years, inflation was burning hot. Consumer inflation averaged nearly 10% between 2010 and 2014 and an overall average of 7.98 during the decade, one of the highest among the emerging markets at that time. We all felt that at our kitchen tables as well. Onions, fuel, essentials, everything went up. Under the NDA, inflation rate dropped down. The CPI inflation rate for September 2025 was just 1.54% and even lower numbers the following months, thanks to RBI's inflation targeting framework and tighter fiscal control. But here's a trade-off. Private investment slowed and public investment had to take the lead. The government's capital spending has tripled since 2017 and the fiscal deficit, which was at 9.2% during the COVID year, has now come down to just 5.6% of GDP. That's discipline, but also dependence on government to drive growth. One of the biggest transformations happened in India's external balance. Under the UPA, the current account balance, that is, the gap between how much we earn and how much we spend abroad, was approximately averaging around 2.16% of GDP. Oil imports, gold impounds, and falling exports hit hard. Fast forward to 2024. It has narrowed to just minus 0.82% of GDP. And according to data about CAD in the recent quarter of 2025, India actually posted a surplus of 1.3%. Most of us might question how and why. Because services exports are booming. India exported $820 billion worth goods and services in the financial year 2025, led by IT, fintech, digital consulting, and design. This is India's quiet revolution, from a trade deficit to a services surplus. Let's talk investment and infrastructure, the backbone of tomorrow. During the UPA years, spending was consumption heavy. subsidies, social schemes, and welfare programs such as MGNREGA and Food Security Act. These were powerful tools for inclusion, but they strained the budget. The NDA took a different approach. Disinvestment, asset monetization, and massive infrastructure push. From highways and airports to digital infrastructure and UPI, the focus shifted to building capacity rather than spending consumption. And according to the Union budget of 2025 to 2026, public capital expenditure allocations have more than doubled since the financial year 2018-19, aimed at railways, logistics, and roads. However, interest payments have risen sharply, a big red flag. Debt now stands at 57% of GDP, meaning we must manage growth carefully. Who really did it better? That's the question that fuels every political debate, every economic panel, and every newsroom argument. But the truth is, India's story isn't about one government outperforming the other. It's about how each decade prepared the next for what was coming. The UPA's years were India's sprint, fast, bold, and full of adrenaline. Growth touched record highs. Global investors poured in, and India found its place at the world's economic table. But sprints come with exhaustion. By 2013, inflation was burning, deficits were widening, and the fuel of easy expansion was running low. The NDA, on the other hand, became India's marathon, steadier, longer, and built for endurance. Growth slowed, yes, but the economy learned to breathe evenly. Inflation came under control. The current account deficit narrowed to just 0.6%, and India built muscle in its infrastructure, forex reserves, and digital backbone. So, it's not about who was right. It's about what India needed when. When the world was booming, India needed speed. UPA delivered it. And when the world slowed and uncertainty ruled, India needed stability, and NDA provided it. Every phase had its purpose: expansion, correction, and now transformation. From reforms to resilience, India has moved from managing growth to designing its destiny. The next chapter of growth isn't behind us. It's just the beginning. And it's not written by the governments alone. It's written by every Indian who builds, innovates, and believes. Let's shape it together.